Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Today, I have my new friend, Melanie Herschorn. And sorry, Melanie, you can correct me if I got that slightly off. I think I might have. But Melanie, why don't you tell us, first of all, what you do, who you are, and we're going to talk about book publishing and book marketing. So let's jump in.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here, Jeff. We are already friends and we have only been chatting for 10 minutes. So, I am a book marketing and publishing strategist. And what that means is I help people who are business owners or who have a mission and they want to let people know about their mission and really step into their spotlight because you all deserve to be in your own spotlight. And not everybody's going to always give you that opportunity, but that's what I'm here for. So I am helping coaches and consultants and, financial advisors and attorneys and psychologists and, name your profession. If you have a book in you and you want to write it and you want people to know about it and you want to make a big impact with it, that's what I help people do.
I love it. And one of the things I'm getting out of this is, your focus is on helping them be a subject matter expert. One of the things that pains me, I'm borderline autistic. I'm called high functioning. I don't see the point of being a best-selling author if my book doesn't bring me business. So you and I are going to have a fun conversation, and for those that know me, I can write a book in a day. So I'm going to test Melanie's abilities to create a marketing plan. I suspect that Jeff's going to have to learn some patience because it's not about how quickly the book gets out. It's about that impact. So Melanie, my first question, what is the benefit of having a marketing plan for your book? And what happens if you don't?
Okay, well, I'll start with what happens if you don't. So the statistics are not great. Most published authors, now I'm lumping this in, so self-published authors, 90% of them will only sell 100 books or less ever. Regular, all authors altogether, it's about 250 books ever. Now, Jeff, you can write a book in a day, and I'm guessing that you can sell 100 books in a day as well.
Yes.
So what happens if you say, well, I published my book, that should be enough? The answer is not much.
If you
But
build it, they will come, right?
exactly not. I even have that in I talk about that all the time. Like, we blame that 1980s Kevin Costner movie because it's wrong. It is
Yeah.
wrong. You have to let people know about it. And as an author, you are really your own best marketer. I'm going to say that again. As an author, you are your own best marketer because just like you can't look at your book after you've gone through it for the umpteenth time, you're probably going to get tired about talking about your book. But it's only then that it's going to sink in to your community's brains and they're going to go, "Oh yes, he or she wrote a book about that. I need to get that book." So it's that I call this, honestly, I call this the granny panties of book marketing because consistency is so unsexy, but it works.
It's the cure for that shiny object syndrome. So you and I are on the same page. We're going to have some fun with this conversation because believe it or not, when I publish a book in a day, there's still a plan.
Absolutely.
Because why write a book if you're not going to follow a plan? And by the way, my least successful client, I'm going to share this because I feel like Melanie and I are going to dissect this. I helped them write a book. I sent them 200 copies. And 6 months later, I hadn't heard from them. 6 months later, they came to me and said, Jeff, you're stupid. Your process doesn't work. I didn't get a single client out of the book. And I was like racking my brain trying to figure out, with our strategy, 200 books should have brought him at least 10 new clients, if not more. And I asked a whole bunch of questions and he said, nope, nope, nope. And then at the end of it, Melanie, guess how many books he had in his garage out of 200?
How many?
200.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
imagine that.
Yeah. I'm not surprised because it sounds like he was expecting it to just magically happen.
Yeah,
And
he wrote it. They will come.
right, exactly. And unfortunately, there isn't, we know that magicians don't reveal their secrets, but the truth is magic isn't, it's not magic. It's sleight of hand.
Yep.
So the secret is, we're unveiling it here today. The secret is you have to market your book and then people will actually buy it. Guaranteed. If you market your book and your message that you're putting out there resonates with the person who should want to read this, they're going to buy it. It's not a high ticket item. I mean, my book is, I should know this, it's $17.99. $17.99. That's US. I know you're in Canada.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is in Canadian. It's probably $500, but
or a billion, something like that.
A billion. But no, it's probably closer to 25. But
yeah,
that's not a high ticket item. I mean, you're standing at the grocery line checkout, you buy 5 packs of gum and that's $30. So it's like, this book is going to last you a lot longer than the gum.
Now, if I may, I want you to practice what you preach. Please hold up your book and tell us what it's called.
It's called Make a Big Impact with Your Book, Author Marketing Strategies for Long-Term Success. And this is the first show I've gotten to unveil this book on. You are the first one because it just arrived in my
fresh out of the package
from Amazon yesterday. And I squealed and because I ripped open the thing, I didn't know what it was. And I ripped it open. I went, oh, and my kids went, oh my God, what's wrong? And I said, no, look, it's my book. But, I'm just going to say this is not a marketing plan. So you have permission to post one thing like this where you're smiling and holding it up, but it's really what's in between the covers that counts.
Yeah. And I'm just going to share with you, Melanie, one day I got an order from Amazon delivered and my youngest opened it and he was really confused. And I said, what's wrong, buddy? And he said, Dad, why would you order books that someone else wrote? You always order books with your name on them.
That's so sweet.
What a weird household we have. But I love the fact, and I'm going to show people a little bit behind the curtain. You're here talking to me today because you want to promote your book. I have you here today because I'm a nerd and I love books and I want to hear about it. But the real thing that brought me in, and I said, yes, I think you reached out and said, I'd like to be on your show. And I was like, yes, please, don't make me beg. For me, it was your phrase, build a business with your book as a foundation. So please tell me what that means. And then let's talk about that big impact.
Okay, well, your book is a treasure trove of marketing content, you can create revenue streams from your book. If you have your signature system written in your book, you can create a course or a program right from there. You can we were talking about this a little bit before, you can pull out your book and make your signature talk from it. And you can use it as talking points when you speak on podcasts like I'm doing right now. Yes, this is a very meta conversation. It always is with me.
There's a layer here.
Yeah. So your ideas are all in this book. And then you take that book and you make it work for you. And that is how you build the business. So I just mentioned some alternative revenue streams you can create from your book. Maybe you have a children's book and you're creating stuffed animals that go with it, or some sort of product that is in alignment with the character that you have as your main character. And when you are building a business, you have to let people know about it. And so the next step is really to leverage other people's audiences, kind of like I'm doing right now.
Spoiler
So,
alert.
spoiler. So I'm so happy because I'm talking to you, Jeff, and I'm talking to you, the listener who's listening, watching me right now, and we're getting to know each other. And I love podcasts because it's such an intimate conversation. You might be watching me on your computer, on your phone, in bed. You might be listening to me in your earbuds while you're on a run. And it's intimate and you get to know people. So you are doing me a favor, Jeff, by giving me the opportunity to speak about it is I do and about my book. And then at the same time, I'm filling I don't want to say void because I'm sure you have a lineup around the corner, but I am filling the space of guests.
You add value. I mean, people don't want to listen to Jeff rambling on every day, all day. They want a little variety. And, I learn, as a podcast host, I learn from every guest. I mean, this is literally a nerd's paradise. I get to meet, you know, I love the moment when somebody's like, yeah, I got my book yesterday. Like, those are my favorite conversations. I don't like somebody, 6 months from now, they're like, oh yeah, I wrote a book, I'm bored with it.
Oh,
I like the first day, fresh out of the box excitement, the unboxing of the book. Tell me that moment. Tell me how you squealed. I mean, that is just pure nerd gold for me. So, but
hashtag nerd gold. I love it.
and my people, and that's the beautiful thing. If I can put a point on it, the people that like me, they know full well that I'm going to interview kind of intellectual, nerdy people. If you're not into that, you're not watching my show anyways.
Exactly. And we can't be for everyone because then we end up being for nobody. As a marketer, one of my favorite slash most ridiculous conversations ever was when I was talking to a woman through Facebook and I said to her, so who's your ideal client? And she said, well, I sell skincare. So everyone with skin. And
I've had that conversation.
I'm just like, no, it's not everyone with skin. And look, hey, I made that mistake too. So before I did this, I have a, kind of a varied career. I started out as a celebrity publicist in Hollywood, and then I got a master's in journalism, and I worked as a journalist on the radio and at a newspaper. And then I decided to design and manufacture breastfeeding clothing because I saw that there was a need, and I'd always wanted to be a fashion designer, and I had a new baby and it just made sense. And also I realized that if I tried to go back to work as a journalist, I would be paying a babysitter a lot more money than I would be earning. So it didn't make sense. So when I wrote out my business plan originally, this was 12 years ago, I thought that all 4 million women in the United States who give birth every year would be my ideal client, my ideal customer.
Yeah.
And of course, now I laugh. How could I have thought that? But I didn't know. And you probably see this too, that authors or new authors come in and they say, I just don't know what I don't know. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm here is just to dispel the myths. There are so many myths about the publishing industry. Like if you don't self-publish, your book doesn't count. Yeah, right. What if you do self-publish, you have full control and you make a lot more book sales? Plus you have to pay in advance back if they don't reach the quota. So there are just so many myths that
Well, and I'm going to share that with one of my books, we printed exactly 12 copies. We took it offline. You can't get it. And my client, and by the way, this is something my viewers should know, but if you don't, we give away a lot of the books because cost me $3 to print it on Amazon. But I put it in a nice gold foil envelope and I give it to somebody that's a potential client. That single book might bring me 20, 30,000 in new revenue. And I want to echo that. And what I love with with publishing, there's no one right way to do it. It's, one size does not fit all. And, back to, understanding your market, 4 million women might give birth every year, but there's a percentage of that group that can't breastfeed. There's a percentage that won't breastfeed. And then there's a percentage who wants to. You got to know who you serve specifically. And I get that conversation. I serve everybody with skin so often. And I'm just going to point out something. I'm autistic. I don't care about skincare. I literally have body wash that I use for my hair, my face, and my body. And my wife's like, well, you should have shampoo, you should have conditioner, you should have this, that. And I'm like, if my face turns to leather, it's low maintenance. Yay. So know your audience. Don't
Know
try to
your
sell
audience.
skincare product to somebody who doesn't care about skincare.
Exactly. Exactly. So when you are coming up with your book marketing plan, know who your audience is and know that not every single person who you think could benefit wants to benefit. They might prefer to be called Leatherface.
There you go. You can quote me on that. And by the way, the beautiful thing is if you know who your audience is, then you know who and how to promote it. Is that a fair comment?
It is. It is. Although you know who, but you might not know how, because so often, and this happens to us marketers too, it's really hard to read a bottle, the label on a bottle from inside the bottle. It's really hard to do your own marketing. And so it's sometimes you just need, well, not sometimes, I would say 99% of the time, you need somebody who can see a bigger picture and can see what you're saying and sort of distill it down into a way that's more understandable for your audience. How often do lawyers get accused of using jargon?
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? There's jargon in every business, in everything. So, when I say messaging, people are like, I don't know what that is. So I have to say it's what you're saying to people. Are they getting it? Because if we are not clear in what we're saying, they just stop listening because there's so much noise.
Well, and one lesson I learned from my first book is be really careful who you promote it to, because I gave it to my mom and she told me it was the best book she'd ever read. Family and friends all loved the book, and I'm smart. But then I also gave it to some of my colleagues and competitors, and they shredded it, saying, "Oh, that's stupid. I would have done this, or I would," And one of my so-called friends actually returned the copy of the book I gave to him, edited in red, like literally arguing whether I should add a comma, a semicolon, a period. I didn't write another book for 3 years. I was like, oh my God, I'm terrible at this. And that was when I realized I was putting it in the wrong hands. So that's how critical this can be. Now, I'm going to ask you my favorite question, because I personally think, we don't know what our blind spots are. We need the expert guidance of a Melanie to have that big impact. What's sort of your standard timeline for a plan? Because one person told me, I won't mention the company, but they charge north of 250,000 to write a book. Their marketing plan, the book itself takes 2 to 3 years, and then they've got like a 6-year plan. I've forgotten what book I wrote last month, let alone 3 years ago. So what's the timeline somebody should be expecting if they truly want their book to have that big impact?
Well, when somebody has written the book already and it's not getting traction, I say give it 6 months. And within that 6-month time frame, you will see, we have a program that is 6 months. It's for new authors, for authors who published a year ago. Doesn't matter when you published. Your book is evergreen. It does not fall off a cliff. So give yourself 6 months to really build that marketing foundation and then learn how to leverage other people's audiences. We also have a program that's brand new that is taking you from writing through editing through marketing and publishing. And that is a year, 12 months, soup to nuts. 3 to 6 years sounds a little bit ridiculous. Only because, when you have a marketing plan, you can rinse and repeat that.
Yeah.
You don't need
Well,
to keep
and
reinventing the wheel.
just point out that my friend invested 250 grand today, and he finally got his book. Believe it or not, it was 4 years. And I was
Oh.
like, "You're still working on that thing?"
Yeah. I mean, did he lose his mojo? Like, did he lose the interest in doing it at that point?
He was I mean, he had to sell his house because he couldn't keep remortgaging and stuff like that. He just literally he gave up on everything, and the problem was the process to get the book done. Because he did what he had to do, but it was, they did interviews and then they had ghostwriters, and it was just a pain. Like, honest to God, I lose interest after a month. It's like, oh, are we still working on that?
I mean, it took me a couple years to write this book,
Yeah.
with big gaps in between.
Yeah.
But that seems like a big process that maybe could have been shortened significantly, both monetarily and time-wise.
Yeah.
Only because I see so much predatory behavior in the publishing industry. The minute you write on Facebook, or particularly LinkedIn, the minute you put on LinkedIn that you're an author, you start getting all these unsolicited messages. We'll make you a star. Would you like to have all these ads done for you? We'll make you a best-selling author. And, first of all, I'm going to say a bestseller is a nice thing to have.
Yep.
However, it does not sell books. So if you are not a best-selling author and you're an author and you're selling books, you're doing better than all those other people who say, I'm a best-selling author and I still have 200 books in my basement.
Yep.
Secondly, the predators are really just trying to get money. They're trying to get money. And, they try to get it from me too. I actually got an unsolicited message a few weeks back, and the guy said, have you ever thought about doing a podcast tour? And I said, yes, I have. And then he wrote back, well, let's get on a call and I can show you how. And I wrote back, I help authors do that. And he went, oh, you're right, you do. Maybe I'll stop trying to sell you.
Yep.
And that's the thing, about marketing. Marketing is not selling. Marketing is creating awareness, credibility, visibility, stepping into that thought leadership. It's not about like numbers and like, who can you like dupe into buying your crap?
Because, by the way, they'll be returning it tomorrow after they have a moment to think clearly and tell their spouse, hey, guess what I bought? And they get the, what? Or in my house, I have an 11-year-old who will look at me and go, why would you do that? I'm like, I don't know.
Yes, 11-year-old. I have an 11-year-old too, and they don't mince their words.
Yeah, they haven't learned to sugarcoat yet, and it seems like it's incredibly blunt, brutally honest. But I take it with the love it's given, so it's all good. But I think that's what I'm hearing. And by the way, somebody pointed out that predator rhymes with editor.
Hey, Melanie rhymes with felony. You're not going to catch me in jail.
There you go. I believe there's actually a website called Editors and Predators, but they try to out it. But that's the thing. I mean, the publishing industry is very predatorial, and I would also say, what's the word? Parasite as well. You've got,
yeah, and it's unregulated.
yeah. And I've had many people, I mean, literally this morning, cold outreach from somebody in Bangladesh offering to help me use YouTube to sell more books. And I really confused the poor guy, because I said, you're assuming I want to sell more books. I give my books away. What would you do for me then? And he's like, well, I can get you ranked. He went into he took that as permission to tell me why I need him on YouTube. And by the way, the number of gigs you've done on Fiverr doesn't impress me.
Nope.
I am smart enough. I can spot an expert like Melanie, and by the way, spoiler alert, if you haven't written a book on your subject, I can't take you seriously. I just That's my weird wiring, and that's a filter for me because it helps me say, do you have a book? Yes or no? And by the way, if you don't have a book, let's talk. You talk to either Melanie or I. We'll sort you out. A friend of mine gave me the phrase from bookless to published author, and I was like, I solved that bookless problem. But if you don't have a book, please don't tell me you're an expert because I'm not going to believe you. That's literally my criteria: is you have a book.
I agree. And fun fact, I know someone who's an editor and her last name is Bookless.
No way, you can't
Swear
make
it.
that up.
I swear, it's true.
My Halloween posts yesterday where I put the boo in book because I'm a ghostwriter. My kids thought I'm a genius. My wife rolled her eyes and said, "I can't believe you post that stuff." But
I
I'm like,
love it.
my
But she
people love
lives
to
with
play
you.
with. Yes, I'm far less witty when you see this 24/7, but you know, I love playing with words. I listen to movies because I love the words. I don't care about what's going on the screen. For me, it's the words.
That's awesome.
So my people are book nerds, and Melanie is clearly. And by the way, this podcast literally it makes me the unofficial president of everybody's fan club because I can say, "Oh my God, you got to meet Melanie. She's amazing."
I love that. That's so
So.
cool. So you might like the socks that I have that say, I'm silently correcting your grammar. I'm not wearing them today, but
Oh, I need a pair or 10.
yeah.
Just because we're those kind of people, whenever we go through a drive-through, my 11-year-old now corrects the person's grammar when they he knows dad's cringing, and so he says, "Dad, they should have said this, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, but we agree we keep that in the car because we'll make them cry."
Absolutely. My
But
husband has said no more grammar correcting children. You've got to stop.
but I feel like it's a customer service we can offer the world. It's and by the way, do not get me started on, those community signs where somebody puts up a sign with terrible spelling, terrible punctuation. I feel the need to get out of my car and fix them, but I don't.
That's good because it wouldn't serve you anyway.
Yeah.
When I visited China about 13 years ago, we got introduced to basic. I think they call it Chinglish, which is English words that really don't make a whole lot of sense in English, but
Yeah.
I guess it's really cool in China. So you'll see all these people wearing T-shirts with English words on them, and then you look at it and you go, "What does that mean?" It means nothing. We still have this joke about a sign that we read that said delicious soup.
I'm guessing somebody spelled it wrong and everybody just kept it going. For those of my viewers who are as weird as I am, just as a fun fact, I just did a quick little Google. You can buy socks, t-shirts, mugs, you
Mugs.
name it, that say I am silently correcting your grammar. So that's my golden nugget so far. I mean, Melanie is brilliant, but that's my takeaway. I'm gonna get myself a mug because I feel like, at least because I do have my mug at all times, and this is my Edmonton Starbucks mug.
Oh,
It's a
yes.
little boring, but I
Yes.
think a
It's time for an
silently,
upgrade.
yeah, it fits our weird sense of humor. All right, we went on a tangent. That's Jeff's fault. Let's bring it back. So, and by the way, Melanie, I don't know if I shared this, but you used my favorite two words for business: signature system.
Mm.
Literally, that's one of the chapters in every book I co-write is how do you work with somebody? So I'm going to guess that Melanie has a signature system. Is that a fair guess?
Sure do.
All right. Well, what's it called? And what does it look like if somebody's listening to this and saying, okay, I'm no longer bookless. I have a book and now it's, my wife's telling me I got to clear out the shelf in the garage. How does Melanie's signature system help?
Sure. Well, the signature system is called the impactful author, and it will help you build your online marketing foundation so that anywhere people find you online, they'll know exactly who you are, what you do, and how you help them. And then it will also show you how to leverage other people's audiences. So you will be getting yourself media opportunities, speaking opportunities, podcast guesting opportunities. And you will also understand the whole system of continuing the marketing and how your book marketing really weaves beautifully into your overall business marketing so that they're not siloed, they are the same. So I wrote a book, for example, I wrote a book called Make a Big Impact with Your Book. I am not going to just talk about my book and then pretend that I don't have a business too.
Mhm.
So they go hand in hand. And so it's really about building a business with your book as the foundation. And it's a 6-month process because it takes 6 months to build a personal brand. It's just like a house. You wouldn't want to move into a house that it took a day to build.
Mhm.
The walls would likely fall right down. So, what we are helping you do is build a strong house so that you can basically have this house as long as you like.
I love it. And if I may, for your benefit, Melanie, I always have a chapter on how somebody can engage with me to have me speak at their event. And I even give them like my talking points because that's everybody asks for that. And I got tired of typing the emails. And one day I went, what if I just put that in my book? So I assume you do many, many wonderful things. I don't want you to spill all your secrets, but the fact that you have a signature system, I'm going to say go talk to Melanie because um, she does things that I don't even hope to care about. You know, it's I think you and I were, I see it. I'm happy to, my main focus is when somebody's struggling to write the book. I love to write the book. Um, I have a little system for how to distribute the book, but like I said, I don't care beyond book number 100. And by the way, Melanie, just to be full disclosure, my first book took me 2 years. I hated my editor, my publisher. I spent hours on that thing and I got my first royalty check. It was, I'm never going to forget it, $28.61. That was a year of my life. I got that and I went, wow, I'm not going to get rich writing books.
Nope.
And then I went, okay, now, and by the way, I like self-publishing because I can make that in a single book, but, or in a single day with a single book. But what I did find was, I got speaking gigs, which got me clients. And so I made way more money by saying, hey, I'm an author. And by the way, one of the challenges with writing a one-day book, people don't own the title author because it was too quick. So one of the
Mhm.
things I would say when you're talking to Melanie is part of the process is you understanding that you are a published author and getting comfortable saying that because I have a few people imposter syndrome sets in and they're like, I'm not telling anyone about this.
May I read the first paragraph of Make
Yes,
a Big Impact with
please.
Your Book? Whether it has taken you a weekend or a decade to write your book, you are in the right place. Congratulations. You are an author.
Ooh. And that's the thing.
Yep.
People think I wrote my book in a weekend. Well, it only took me 50 years of my life to figure out how to do that.
Exactly. And all the info, my grandma, who's going to be 99 in a couple weeks, says this, and it's so relevant. Everything you learn in your life goes into the pot, and you never know when you are going to be able to draw from it.
Oh,
And so, everything that you've learned, Jeff, that all goes into all the information that you impart in your book. And the same with me. Everything that I've ever learned, it's all gelled and it's here and it's condensed to make it easy for someone who's just starting out and needs to benefit from our expertise.
yeah. I love it. Now, I could talk to you for hours and I fear that I might, but I promised I'd let you back to your life. So how can somebody connect with you? How can they work with you? What's the next step in your relationship or the first step, I guess, the second step, because they got to see you and I hanging out.
Absolutely. Well, I have a free gift and it's at vipbookmarketing.com/checklist. It's the ultimate book marketing checklist. And so you can go ahead and download that. And if you would really like to chat, right on my website, there is a button to book a call and you can get right into my calendar and we can have a chat and I can learn all about you and your book and see, if we're a good fit to partner together.
I love it. And by the way, Melanie is as fun as she seems. So thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
Is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't? Because we're busy trying to solve all the problems of the world. But let's boil it down to just people who have skin. Is there anything I should have asked you?
Okay, well, let's not boil the people with skin. So that's a great question. That was the question I was always taught as a journalist to ask as the last question of my interview. So good job. And normally, I have to caveat this, normally people will say, well, you have to talk about how great I am. And that's not me. So the only thing that I would like to impart is that if you are feeling right now like, oh, everybody else is successful and I'm not, or everybody else can do this and I'm not, trust me when I say that you can do it too. It is a system. And as long as you adhere to it and stay, granny panties, consistent, there is absolutely no reason why it won't work for you too, because people are not doing it. Authors are not marketing their books. 4 million roughly books published a year, but you stand out by marketing and you absolutely can do it.
Love it. And by the way, I tell people if you're not willing to plan, please don't bother writing because, bad dad joke. But, if a book is written in the forest and nobody reads it, was it written?
I don't think so.
There
And
you go.
I say dad jokes all the time. My kids are like, you're not our father. Why do you make dad jokes? I'm like,
Ooh, can I give you a dad joke for your kids?
Sure.
This is my test for grown-ups, by the way.
Mhm.
Circles are pointless. My 11-year-old cracks up every time I say it. My wife is like, would you get a new one? And I'm like, not until he stops laughing.
Fair. But like I said,
So,
she's got to be with you
yeah,
24/7. So
she's heard it about 5,000
we,
times
we
this
give
week.
her, space and time to, yeah.
Yeah. She appreciates me, just I'm concentrated and I think I need to be diluted. So there you go. Well, Melanie, thank you for hanging out with me. It was a real pleasure. I can think of a few people that I know need to meet you. But thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you, and to your wellness.